Okay, we are going to make some sort of plate for your sculpture to sit on if you want to have a plate for your sculpture. I grabbed one of these, they're around school a lot. I have an old plate that someone made some art out of. You just need something to let the clay form into. And then, before you start making your slab, you're gonna cover this with plastic and then it can be removed easily. So you might need a partner to do this. You just put plastic right on top of the plate where the clay is going to be sitting, and you have to actually make sure it touches on the back a little bit too so it clings there. So the same thing too, if I wanted to use this, I would cover it, this is another plate, cover it with plastic, and then I can put my clay right on it. Okay, I'll set this aside for now. Other options that I'll show you too, we have plaster molds. So you could do like a square plate. You can bring in your own plate from home. You can use one of these. You can also use a mold that's like this where it goes together. You can kind of press it to what you want for the thickness. Okay, so let's review quickly making a slab. Okay, invite you. I'll pound it out a little bit, but I'm not going to roll it this time. You can always roll it yourself like we did before when we made the tiles, but this time I'm just going to get it a little bit thinner, and I'm going to show you how to use our slab roller. So I don't want it to be too thin, but here we go. Let's go to the slab roller. Okay, I've walked right outside the classroom door where we are storing our slab roller right now. It's only this machine, which is a press where you put the clay through and it flattens it evenly. You want to make sure, well actually I've already done this for you, this height and this height are the same, and then you don't really have to mess with this again. You put the clay not directly in here because it will stick and you'll have to clean it all out and you won't be happy about that. But instead, we're gonna put it just nice and cozy between two canvas blankets, right in the middle, like a sandwich. Put it in there, and then we can crank it through. You might have to give it, and you might work with a partner for this too. Just give it a little bit of a push. It's set right now at 1 centimeter thickness. So you can see that it comes out and everything is even. It's so beautiful. You can turn it 90 degrees. Kind of get it right up to the edge. And then give it a little push to get it started again. It's the right way, there we go. And here we have it. So now I have this perfectly even all the way through slab. And I want to use this as a guide for my clay. Now this will start to dry pretty quickly because it's thin, so don't do this first. This is one of the last steps of your sculpture. But I think what I'll do, put it on here, press it in so it's a form that it's fitting into. And I know that it's big enough for this plate, so I can trim off the extra. But also, before you trim, think about what texture do you want on here. Right now it has the canvas texture from the blankets out there. I could take a smooth rib and I could smooth out the texture. I could also, before I put it on here, if I wanted to roll some texture on it with our texture rollers, or make texture another way. So if you wanted to have a plate that had texture, maybe a wood texture, you could figure out what it will be. You just want to be aware that every time I'm pressing down, it's getting a little bit thinner, and you don't want it to be too thin because it will be like a potato chip and just break. So now, because I have this texture on here, I'm not going to really press it in very much, but instead just trust that that's the general shape that I want, and I can put my macaroon sculptures right onto here. So what I'm going to do is take the needle tool and just go around the edge of the plate slash bowl. And there we have that. I can set this aside and use it for something else or recycle it. And then I can take something to think about. It doesn't seem like it's important now, but when this is fired, this edge will be very sharp. So you'll want to smooth out your edge with a sponge. So it's not a sharp, harsh edge, but it's nice and smooth all the way around. Okay, the next step for this would be letting your sculpture, well, putting your sculpture in here and attaching it where you think it should be attached. When the clay dries, it shrinks a little bit, so it can shrink a little bit inside this form. If you put it on the outside of the form, as it's shrinking, it will crack. So that's something to think about. You can leave it in here, attach your sculpture, and let it dry. And really by the end of the day, after a few hours, you'll be able to take it out of here. It will be hard enough. Okay, thank you very much.